All right, so my name's Noah, and today we're going to be talking about what it means to see people the way Jesus does, and not by how they look or act and what's happened, but how they act on the inside and what's going on inside their hearts. Sometimes we make quick judgments about people, like who's popular, who's weird, who's fun to be around, but Jesus challenges us to see deeper. So this is Matthew 7, 1 through 5. Do not judge others, and you will not be judged, for you will be treated as you treat others. The standard you use in judging is the standard by which you will be judged. And why worry about a speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own? How can you think of saying to your friend, let me help get rid of that speck in your eye, when you can't see past the log in your own eye? Hypocrite! First get rid of the log in your own eye, then you will see well enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye. So Jesus tells us not to judge the speck. So Jesus uses a funny picture here. Imagine somebody trying to get a tiny piece of dust out of your eye, and you see a massive log in their eye. Like, what are they doing? They got a big old log in their own eye, and they're worrying about your eye. So he's saying before we point out what's wrong with others, we need to look at ourselves and deal with our own stuff. You know, middle school, it's full of people judging each other, you know, what we might wear, what phones we have, what sports we play. But Jesus says we need to slow down and look at our own hearts first. So why do you think it's easier to notice other people's mistakes than our own? Elijah? Yeah. Kyle? Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah. 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 Sometimes we point fingers because it makes us feel better or more in control. But Jesus says love means humility. Slide 4. So this is Luke 8:40 through 56. This is a long one, guys, so bear with me. It's very long. On the other side of the lake, the crowds welcomed Jesus because they had begun waiting for him. Then a man named Jairus, a leader of the local synagogue, came and fell at Jesus' feet, pleading with him to come home with him. His only daughter, who was about 12 years old, was dying. As Jesus went with him, he was surrounded by the crowds. A woman in the crowd had suffered for 12 years with constant bleeding, and she could find no cure. Coming up behind Jesus, she touched the fringe of his robe. Immediately, the bleeding stopped. Who touched me? Jesus asked. Everyone denied it. And Peter said, Master, this whole crowd is pressing up against you. But Jesus said, someone deliberately touched me, for I felt healing power go out from me. When the woman realized that she could not stay hidden, she began to tremble and fell to her knees in front of him. The whole crowd heard her explain why she had touched him, and that she had been immediately healed. Daughter, he said to her, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. While he was still speaking to her, a messenger arrived from the home of Jairus, the leader of the synagogue. He told him, your daughter is dead. There's no use troubling the teacher now. But when Jesus heard what had happened, he said to Jairus, don't be afraid, just have faith, and she will be healed. When they arrived at the house, Jesus wouldn't let anyone go in with him except Peter, John, James, and the little girl's father and mother. The house was filled with people weeping and wailing, but he said, stop the weeping. She isn't dead, she's only asleep. But the crowd laughed at him because they all knew she had died. Then Jesus took her by the hand and said in a loud voice, my child, get up. And at that moment, her life turned around, and she immediately stood up. Then Jesus told them to give her something to eat. Her parents were overwhelmed, but Jesus insisted they not tell anyone what had happened. Jesus sees everyone. So to kind of summarize what that long passage was about, a desperate father asks Jesus to heal his daughter. A sick woman then touches Jesus' robe in faith. Jesus stops, listens, and he healed both of them. So this story shows, it's really cool because it shows two miracles back to back. First, Jairus, a synagogue leader, begs Jesus to heal his sick daughter. Then a woman who's been sick for 12 years quietly touches Jesus' robe. You know, the crowd probably didn't even notice her. She was not important, and people thought she was unclean. But Jesus stopped everything just to talk to her. He called her daughter. That's the only time in the Bible he ever uses that word for someone. He saw her value when everyone else ignored her. What does it tell you about Jesus that he stopped for someone everyone else ignored? Yeah? Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah, Kyle? Yeah. Yeah. Desmond? Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah. Jesus sees everyone. It's not just the people that others might think matter. He sees everyone, even the people that can be ignored. So what does it mean to see like Jesus? Noticing people others ignore, showing kindness instead of judgment, and helping instead of criticizing. Philippians 2:4 says, "Don't look out only for your own interests, but take an interest in others too." This reminds us that following Jesus means looking beyond ourselves. When we focus only on our own image or our own comfort, we miss opportunities to go out and love others, which is exactly what Jesus wants us to do. So seeing like Jesus isn't about feeling sorry for people. It's about going out and doing something and showing God's love and his kindness. What might it look like in your school or your friend group if everyone saw others like Jesus? Anybody want to say anything for that one? Yeah. I'm getting a lot of answers from over here. I need some from over here, guys. Somebody from over here, answer me. I'll wait, guys. I'll wait. I just said I'm getting answers from over here. I need some from over there. Yeah, Jason. Yeah. All right, guys. It might look like less gossip, more kindness, more people feeling seen and included, right? If we see others like how Jesus wants us to see them, we wouldn't be gossiping about them. We wouldn't be like judging them. We would see them with kindness, right? Kind words change everything. Proverbs 16:24 says, "Kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and healthy for the body." Words are powerful. Proverbs says kind words are like honey, they heal and they strengthen us, guys. You can make someone's entire day better just by saying something encouraging. When Jesus spoke, he not only lifted them up, but he lifted them up while correcting them. Like he might have been like, "You're doing this wrong, guys. You're doing it wrong." But he did it in a way that made them feel good and better about themselves. Yeah?
What is the difference between doing judgment versus having them?
I would say like judgment can be like maybe it's hard it's hard to say. What did you want to say?
Probably just pointing out something or not like saying, oh, you change or things like that, or
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say the difference between judging and like making an opinion is when you start judging people, it starts hurting people, and you actually have a negative opinion about that person. When you start making opinions about people, you're more like, hey, you're more like giving them suggestion more than you're trying to break them down.
Kyle.
The difference I think between a judgment and an opinion is like a judgment is when you're being negative to somebody or like judging them of how they look, what they do, or how they see things. Like you could be giving them good advice, but your attitude also matters.
Yeah.
So when you judge them, and even if you're telling them the right thing, you're still like demanding or judging them on what they're doing. And then an opinion is like what you think. So not like so you think Not like they think. So it's your.
Kaden?
When I see is judging is always negative and it's always pointing towards someone else to bring them down. While opinions can be both negative and positive, and you have to learn to control them because the Bible does say things are so considered sin.
Yeah. When going about like opinions and judgments, it's very important to take a step back and look inside our hearts and see why are we thinking this? Why do we want to tell them this? And if it's not coming from a place of Jesus would want me to do this, you should probably keep it to yourself. Right, guys? I want you guys to take a second and think who this week that you know might need kind words or some encouragement. You know, it could be a classmate, a teacher, someone at home. Just think to yourself for a moment. Who might need some encouragement this week? How can we be like Jesus? I've got 4 steps, all right? So we're going to stop judging, listen before reacting, speak kindness, and look for ways to help. So these 4 steps, they're going to help us practice seeing like Jesus. This week, you're going to have chances to choose between judging someone or helping someone. You know, it could be someone sitting alone, someone you might ignore, someone you walk by in the hallways. You could either choose to judge them. Oh, what are they wearing today? Why did they choose that? Those shoes, I don't really like those. Or you could encourage them. I really like that you're trying something different this time. I think it's really cool. You know, you could even sit with someone at lunch that you don't normally sit with, right? You want to ask yourself, what would Jesus see, right? If you're walking down the hallway and you're like, I don't like this guy's outfit. What would Jesus see? He's going to see a child of God. He's going to see someone to love, someone to reach out in kindness, right? So I want everybody to say this with me right now. Lord, help me see others the way you see me. Right, guys? So we need God's help. Like, we're not just going to be able to, oh, okay, I'm just going to see everybody with kindness now. We need to constantly be looking out to God and asking him for help to come into our hearts and change the way that we go about things. Like, think of that person that you might judge or overlook or ignore. And imagine Jesus looking at them with compassion and love instead of frustration. That's how he looks at you. He looks at you with compassion and love. So why should you go and look at somebody in frustration or anger? So I want to challenge you guys this week to find one person who might feel unseen and do something kind for them. Doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be small. It could just be anything that's kind, even a compliment. All right, so I'm going to close this in prayer now, guys. God, thank you for seeing us completely and loving us any way that we are. Help us to see others like you do with kindness, patience, and mercy and love. Use our words and action this week to show your love. God, just be with us as we go out this week in school, in sports, just whatever we're doing. Help us to find those people and show them your kindness and your love, God. In your name we pray. Amen.